Hey, what's up everybody and welcome back to News Dose. And if you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, you're probably pretty happy today. I mean, really, you all are happy most days because it really is the best deal in gaming, but especially today as they announced some new games, including some really good ones. So we are going to go over all of that today. Also, Xbox and PlayStation revealed some more information on their Pro controllers, which might be a little pricey, but for those out there that are really looking forward to these new additions, we're going to go over that as well. Before we get started though, do make sure to hit those buttons below. That way you'll be able to stay up to date with all the latest gaming news. I am here every week, Monday through Friday, with some occasional weekend videos as well. So do hit that like and subscribe button, and of course, ring that bell. With that said, let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with a brand new 3D platformer, Clive and Wrench. Over the last few years, it's been really interesting to see, but this genre has had a bit of a resurgence, which, I mean, I am all for. I actually do love this genre. Now, this game, though, it's actually been in development since 2011, so it has been in development for quite a while. I've actually had this on my radar. It's on my wish list over on Steam and everything, but it looks like it's been in development for a long time for good reason. It's actually shaping up to be a promising 3D platformer inspired by classics of the genre like Jak and Daxter, Banjo-Kazooie, and even Spyro the Dragon. So, I mean, if you like these type of games, you might want to keep an eye on this one, and better yet, the wait is almost over as they did officially announce its release date today. It is set to come out in February of 2023 for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and then also PC. Unfortunately, no word on an Xbox version just yet. Hopefully that will change sometime in the future. But as you can see from its gameplay, it does look pretty good if you like those old-time classics. Again, this is actually one of my favorite genres, as I did grow up with these type of games. So it's really cool to see this genre have a bit of a comeback here in recent years, like Psychonauts 2, Crash 4, and Ratchet & Clank, and then see them have some success. So hopefully that will continue on with Clive and Wrench in February of 2023. Now, yesterday we talked about the upcoming Silent Hill event that's taking place tomorrow on the 19th. For you Silent Hill fans, I know you are very much looking forward to that. But I guess Capcom, they wanted in on the fun as well because they also announced this. The next Resident Evil showcase begins October 20th at 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, featuring Resident Evil Village Gold Edition and Resident Evil 4. Everyone is welcome to co-stream the event. You know, it's almost kind of amusing to me that we might actually see both Resident Evil 4 remake and a Silent Hill 2 remake, if that rumor is true, within the same week. But hey, this is actually some really exciting stuff. Resident Evil Village Gold Edition does have that new Rose Story expansion, and it also includes a new third-person mode similar to Resident Evil 2 Remake, which I personally prefer. I know some people might like it in first person, and to be fair, I think Resident Evil feels really good in either perspective, but there was a lot of requests for a third-person view, and you know what? I honestly might actually replay this game simply because that inclusion. So I'll be very interested in seeing what they show of Resident Evil Village Gold on the 20th. The more interesting part of this showcase, though, is obviously going to be Resident Evil 4 Remake. We still haven't really seen too much of this game yet, and what type of changes that they're going for. So maybe they'll show some of that here. There was a rumor going around at one point that it will be more of a horror-driven style of game this time around, which, I mean, that's good in my opinion. I have always really liked the Resident Evil franchise more as a horror series than action, but either way, Resident Evil 4 is often the most beloved entry in a series, and it does sound like we will see more of the remake this week. What I do know, though, is you horror fans out there, you all are eating very well. We'll actually talk a little bit more about that here in just a little bit. Alright, so let's just go and talk about Xbox Game Pass because, wow, the rest of October it's actually crazy. I mean, we have some huge, and I mean absolutely massive day one releases here, but there's also several high quality games that kind of fits in with that spooktacular month of October on top of that. With that said, though, let's actually just kind of take a look at the full list here, which includes Amnesia Collection, Amnesia Rebirth, Gunfire Reborn, Persona 5 Royal. Finally, yes, Atlas finally grew a brain here. But then you also have Signalis, Soma, Phantom Abyss, and then you have Frog Detective. This is also in addition to A Plague Tale Requiem, which just released directly in the Xbox Game Pass today. And you know what? let's actually just go and talk about that game first because it's already proving to be a great game just as I expected. I have said this over and over and over again, but if you played that first game, I mean, you kind of expected that second one to be really good. That first game, A Plague Tale Innocence, was one of the best single-player story-driven experiences that released last generation. The story was emotional, it was gripping, the characters were well-written, it has good atmosphere, and it, quite frankly, it has fun, stealth-based gameplay. It really was just a good game, so I'm not necessarily shocked that the second one is as well. I mean, from everything that we've seen of the sequel so far, I mean, it looks even better. And well, actually about that, reviews for Requiem are out now, and the Xbox version has an 85 overall score on Metacritic as of this recording. Now, unfortunately, I haven't gotten the chance to play this one yet myself, but from what I'm hearing, it's great in almost every way possible, but with one unfortunate and noticeable flaw, and that's when it comes to its performance. Now, we did talk about this just yesterday with Gotham Knights. That game is unable to reach 60 frames per second. They actually locked it at 30 frames. They didn't quite do the same with Plague Tale Requiem, but it is unfortunately unable to reach 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. It, however, looks like it's hovering right around 40 frames. So I hope they do update that eventually, but if you do have a VRR display, that might be a good thing for this game. Outside of its performance though, I'm hearing that A Plague Tale Requiem is an amazing follow-up to that first game, and seriously, this is looking like a must-play experience for Xbox Game Pass subscribers. You know what? Actually, scratch that. This is looking like a must-play experience for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox fans, as this is a multi-platform game, and is possibly one of the best games to release this year. And again, it is a day one Xbox Game Pass title. You all are just absolutely spoiled. You know that? And really, that's even more evident with our next big day one release here being Persona 5 Royal. I mean, you all had to wait long enough to play this game, no doubt about that, but it is finally almost here, and it does launch directly into Xbox Game Pass on October 21st. Reviews are also out now, giving the Xbox Series version a 95 overall score on Metacritic, which lines up. This is viewed as one of the greatest turn-based JRPGs of all time, so if you even remotely like this genre, yeah, you should probably play Persona 5 Royal. Just expect it to be a long play. This is a 100+ hour long game after all. A little tip with this game, just kind of take your time. One thing that's really interesting though is that Xbox is going all out on Persona 5 marketing right now. I wasn't really expecting this, but pictures online are circulating showing that Persona 5 Royal for Xbox Game Pass is starting to appear at places like Times Square in New York City. So Xbox is really pushing this one hard with a real budget in its marketing, which that's a very nice thing to see, and I think kind of shows their commitment for Japanese games like this. They've really made it a long way since the Xbox One days. Now it's really just kind of up to you all to play this game yourself because, well, you know what? It is a very, very good game. Now, outside of those big day one releases, though, like I said earlier, you horror fans, you all are eating good, and especially if you're a Game Pass subscriber. Soma and Amnesia are both coming on the exact same day, being October 20th. These games are highly regarded within the horror genre, and because it is the spooktacular month of October, it's really the perfect time to play these games. Now, you might have the question of which one should you start out with? And really, I just kind of say that they're both good, so it's kind of up to you. But Soma is a sci-fi horror, whereas Amnesia is more of a traditional psychological horror. So if you like sci-fi, go with Soma. Otherwise, check out Amnesia. Either way, though, you really can't go wrong with either one of these games. It's honestly crazy though, because Signalis, that's also releasing day one on October 27th, and if you haven't heard of this game before, it's like a more classic horror style of game. It kind of reminds me a little bit of old Resident Evil games in terms of gameplay, you know, with puzzles and just kind of that third-person view and how it's got the set camera angle, but it looks really, really spooky. As they describe it, you explore a surreal retro-tech world as Elster, a technician replica searching for her lost partner and her lost dreams. Discover terrifying secrets, challenging puzzles, and nightmarish creatures in a tense and melancholic experience of cosmic dread and classic psychological survival horror. So maybe go ahead and check out Signalis as well when it releases on October 27th. And now you're starting to kind of see this month, again, it is insane. There's just so many games here to check out. And actually, about that, you also have Gunfire Reborn. This is another Day 1 release, and it also looks interesting as well. It's a first-person shooter roguelike with RPG elements, and I mean, if you're looking for a fun cooperative game, you might want to keep an eye on this one, as you can play with up to 4 other players. So I mean, by this point, with all of these interesting looking games, it really just kind of becomes, which game do you start out with first? And actually about that, just go ahead and let me know in the comments below which one you're most excited to play. For me, it's gotta be A Plague Tale Requiem. I've been looking forward to this one for a very, very long time, and it looks really, really good. But I'm going to try to work my way around to play some of these other games as well. Now, we did also get some updates for those Pro Elite controllers. Xbox and PlayStation, I guess, decided to announce this on the same day. But we'll first start off with Xbox, since we were just talking about them a moment ago. Of course, they announced the Xbox Series Elite 2 Core controller earlier this year. But if you want a little bit more pizzazz to your controller, well, they just revealed the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller can now be customized on Xbox Design Lab. Now, I do really like Xbox Design Lab. I did actually make my own YouTube theme controller on there to kind of match my thumbnail, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. The only thing is that you do have to pay more for that extra customization, and in this case, it costs $150 for the Elite Series 2 controller on Xbox Design Lab, and do keep in mind that this does not include the extra accessories like back paddles as an example. That'll actually cost you an extra $60, bringing it up to a total of $210. However, there's a lot of customization options here if you do want to go in this direction. You'll be able to change the color of each individual part, including its body, its back, bumpers and triggers, the D-pad, the analog sticks, the ABXY buttons, and even the view share menu buttons. So you can really personalize your own controller here, and for an extra $10, you can also add your own engraving. Again, I actually do really like Xbox Design Lab. I think it's a great idea, and they actually do a really good job putting those things together. It's just kind of, do you want to pay the extra money or not? And that's really up to each individual. For me, I did have the first generation of the Xbox Elite controller, and while it was a great controller, it felt fantastic, it performed very well, it did eventually have some problems as the rubber grip just kind of fell off. Apparently that was a pretty common problem, but hopefully the Elite Series 2 controller doesn't have those type of problems. If it doesn't, again, it's a great controller in how it feels and performs. Now, as for PlayStation, they did also unveil the PlayStation 5 Pro controller titled Dualsense Edge, and just like Xbox's controller, it offers various customizable options. You can swap out its analog sticks with 3 different variants. It has 2 sets of rear buttons, that's pretty cool. It has multiple control profiles, trigger hair locks, and it even has a lock mechanism for its braided cable. This all will come included with a carrying case as well, and it actually looks really good. Again, it really just kind of comes down to the price. Are you willing to pay that premium price? Because the DualSense Edge is officially set at $200 total, which is right in the same ballpark as the Xbox Series Elite 2 controller. That goes for $190 if you get the core and accessories, or $210 if you design your own from Xbox Labs. So these are very expensive controllers. Now, as for the DualSense Edge though, if you are interested in this, pre-orders go live on October 25th, and it's set to fully release on January 26th of 2023. Next up here, let's talk about another Decompiled project that just finished up. We have seen a few of these over the last few years, including Mario 64 and Zelda Ocarina of Time, which were both decompiled, which essentially allows them to run natively on PC because its code has been reverse engineered. And now, Perfect Dark for the Nintendo 64 can be added to that list as well. Now, the reason that this is such a big deal and a lot of people are excited about this is because it then allows modders to add completely new features that they couldn't previously implement. As an example, you can get these games running at 4K resolution now. You can add ray tracing, you can add improved texture quality, maybe include something like multiplayer, and so on and so forth. The creativity really is up to the modders. But this is a huge benefit of decompiling these projects for PC, and in this case, because they reverse engineered it without using any copyrighted assets, it's technically legal as well. Now, we'll kind of see if anybody decides to pursue them on this or not, but I do find this project to be really interesting, though, because I actually really do like the Perfect Dark IP. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you might actually already know that, but the next entry is one of my most anticipated games. And even that original Nintendo 64 title it's one of my favorite games on that console. However, all these years later, I don't really think it's the best version of that game because there is an HD version that's available on Xbox right now. And I think the Xbox Perfect Dark game, it does hold up well to this day, so if you do want to play this game, I'd actually recommend the Xbox version over the Nintendo 64. Even then, though, now that Perfect Dark for the Nintendo 64 has been decompiled, it will be interesting if modders can maybe surpass the Xbox version in the long run, but I guess we'll see. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, and over the last few days, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Bayonetta 3. So I wanted to ask you all, are you going to get Bayonetta 3? And as you can see here, 10% of you said that yes, you're getting it day one, 19% of you said yes, but not at launch, and then 64% of you said no. However, as I was reading through the comments, and I probably should have put this in the poll in the first place, but a lot of you all did say that you're not buying it, but that's not because of the boycott or anything like that. You're just not interested in it. So I should probably put that in the poll, but a lot of the comments did kind of say that over and over again. So do kind of keep that in mind. This is actually about what I was expecting, though. Bayonetta is a very high-quality series, and it certainly has risen in popularity, but it's still nowhere as big as some other games on the market like Mario, Pokemon, or Zelda. So seeing nearly 30% of you interested in Bayonetta 3, I'd say that that's actually a pretty good number, all things considered. As for the boycott, though, this story just keeps evolving, and we actually heard a little bit more about it today. We might talk a little bit more about this tomorrow as the story continues to churn, but it's now being claimed that Helena actually got offered more than what she originally claimed. It now actually sounds like she was offered $3,000 to $4,000 for each session, which would have been 5 total sessions, which means she would have made anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000. So yeah, we are starting to hear different stories now, which means either one of two things. Somebody here is not being completely truthful, or there was a major communication between the two. Now, we'll continue to hear both sides of the story, I'm sure, but as we learn more, I'll try to relay it to you all. Let's just go take a look at the comments, though, and as you can see here, David said, yes, eventually I sympathize with Miss Taylor, and I'm happy that she brought awareness to the current state of voice acting, but I don't think a boycott is fair with all the other artists that also work on the project. And that is actually a good point. There's a lot of people involved in game development, and plus, there's a lot of fans out there that have been looking forward to this game for a very, very long time. But like you said, regardless of Bayonetta the game itself, it does bring awareness to voice acting, and that is an overall good thing. Now, I do want to kind of highlight some of these other comments, though, just kind of saying they're not getting Bayonetta 3, but not because of the boycott. Again, I do apologize. I should have probably made that an option to just kind of show why everybody wasn't getting the game. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.